This is the Cubs Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Chicago Cubs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Cubs Postcast here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Joe George here with you as the Cubs lose 8-5. The magic number for clinching the top wildcard spot sits at 2. And, well, we got to talk about Shota Imanaga in this one. A very bad day, honestly, on the mound for him. Seiya Suzuki heating up, and it sounds like the Kyle Tucker return is actually going to happen tomorrow. And we'll discuss the latest conflicting reports on Cade Horton. But we'll start off with what we're talking about after this game.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Yeah, Shota Imanaga in this one was not very good. That's probably the nicest way to put it. He goes 5 2/3, gives up 9 hits, 8 earned runs, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. The only real positive you can say from this game with Shota is the velocity is where you expect it to be. So you're not concerned about an injury from that standpoint. He's just not pitching very well for the Cubs. We know he's a fly ball pitcher. We know the ball is going to fly out of the yard occasionally, but occasionally it's turned into way too much for him this season. The thing that concerns me the most about him is that he is not mechanically right. That's not from me. That's from him. He said, and they talked about on the broadcast today, that he is not able to get his motion down consistently, and that's what he's been focusing in on. There lies your problem with Shota Imanaga. That's going to be where the struggles are primarily coming from him. And I think there's fair questions at this point as the Cubs are locked into the playoffs about if Shota Imanaga should be one of the guys that, in theory, in a 3-game series, gets the baseball. I don't know how Craig Counsell will approach this, but this is a guy who doesn't exactly have playoff experience because he's a Cub, and this will be his first time pitching in the playoffs, like virtually everyone else on this team. But the location wasn't good in this game. He's giving up way too much hard contact. He nearly got bailed out in the first inning. I mean, that was an incredible play and idea by Dansby Swanson. Honestly, I didn't know those rules. I didn't know you could challenge that thing when Dansby Swanson was in the crowd and flipped it back to Matt Shaw, and they would have got Tatis out at home. Instead, the Mets put up 2 runs, and they're off and running in this game. But I think it's really fair, specifically because of the way that Matthew Boyd pitched in yesterday's game and the way that Jameson Taillon has been pitching as of late, to say that in the wild card series, you are not going to give the baseball to Shota Imanaga. Cade Horton, for me, is getting the ball in game 1. We'll talk about him in a second because that's the other thing we're all talking about, and it kind of coincides with the Shota Imanaga conversation. Matthew Boyd gets the ball, and I think Jameson Taillon gets the ball as well. That, to me, is your 1, 2, 3 if you play in a full 3-game wild card series. Again, we'll see what Craig Counsell does if he feels the same way, but he has not been very good. If he's going to pitch in one of these wild card games, he has the shortest of short leashes, and you have to have Taillon ready to come in out of the bullpen to take over for him. So, and honestly, it should apply for that. Like, no matter what, it should apply for that in a playoff series like this for Cade Horton. It should apply for Matthew Boyd. It should apply for Shota or Taillon, whoever is on the mound in this 3-game series. You got to have that 4th starter really ready to go at a moment's notice. Maybe it's a bullpen arm, goes for an inning to give that starter the extra time they need to ramp up and come in the 3rd or 4th inning. But you just got to have a short leash with the way that these guys have been pitching. So, yeah, I would not give Shota a start right now. I would rather see him, frankly, come in after a guy in a situation like this, the way he's going, or maybe not have any appearances. He has not been good. He's given up over 30 home runs on the season now, I believe it is. And a lot of them have been solo home runs, but we're just seeing too much of location issues, of velocity issues this year. He just hasn't looked like the Shota Imanaga we have seen previously as a member of the Cubs. They're not winning consistently like they were before, and that wasn't always on great performances on Shota, but it's just when you're talking about having home field advantage at Wrigley Field, and the best advantage for Shota Imanaga is that maybe the wind is blowing in, That's not a good, that's why this guy should be on the mound in a post-game series, in a postseason series. It's not cutting it. Like, yes, would it benefit him? Absolutely. Will it benefit the Cubs pitchers? Yes, but it's going to benefit the other team too. And it's not like Shota's only getting killed, tonight on the home run ball. It's the Mets were just moving guys over pretty consistently in this game, and he's the reason why they lost. So we'll see what the decision ends up being, and it does factor in obviously with Cade Horton. And the updates we got from Cade Horton today are conflicting, I think is the easiest way to put it. Craig Counsell said there are some areas of concern, specifically in the rib cage area for Cade Horton. But he's a go as of right now. He'll be throwing tomorrow on Friday for the Cubs. And if all goes well, he might get a second opinion, which also to me feels conflicting. But Cade Horton's adamant right now that he would pitch. So I'm expecting to see Cade Horton in a wild card series. The reports are positive enough that I'm not concerned at this point if we're going to see Cade Horton, unless he throws tomorrow and he doesn't feel right. Then that's where the concern becomes real. And then Shota Imanaga absolutely factors in to the starting rotation for the playoffs. But I don't think we're going to see another appearance from Taillon this season. I think you're kind of saving him potentially for the postseason against the Cardinals, where you've got to win, 2 games if the Padres sweep to secure the top wild card spot, or all you have to do is win 1, and then the Padres lose the game and you've clinched the top wild card spot in the playoffs this year for the Cubs. All right, let's get to our Locked On Player of the Game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
So here's the positive from this game and yesterday's game. Seiya Suzuki. Now, again, just like Cade Horton, there's going to be some interesting factors on how you put together a lineup card with the return of Kyle Tucker happening tomorrow, which we'll talk about after the break, and taking your questions and comments. But Seiya Suzuki, 2 home runs in this game, his first home run since I think they said August 6th. So he's obviously been struggling, but the double yesterday, the 2 home runs today, his bat is starting to look live. The first home run that he hit, that thing is a slider, it looked like, way on the inside. He turned on that thing and ripped it. So really positive things from Seiya Suzuki. That's the best part of this game today. Really, because you lost, it's the only really positive thing about this one. He deserves the player of the game, hitting 2 home runs. But he looks like maybe he's returning to form. I think overall, as the Cubs get ready for the postseason, we have seen better at-bats from Michael Busch, Seiya Suzuki. Ian Happ's been on a heater since the middle of July, basically. Nico Horner is good. Moises Ballesteros is you feel confident with him at the plate. PCA, I think, has put some better at-bats together as well. I mean, that ball he hit there in the 9th inning, they said was 108 miles an hour off the bat. Just got underneath it a little bit, but really felt like when he hit it, the Cubs were about to be in a 1-run game against the New York Mets. So I think PCA is also with that group. So the positives is that the lineup, it feels like they're slowly waking out of this, slumber that they've been in for a majority of the second half of the season here, or at least since the All-Star break, and honestly a little bit before as well. So that to me is the biggest thing from this game that you take away and you feel good about is Seiya Suzuki. And again, with Kyle Tucker, it sounds like returning tomorrow. We don't know exactly what to expect to see from him over this weekend. Is he going to be in the outfield? Is he going to be primarily a DH? Because if he's only your DH, then you can only play Seiya Suzuki, and Moises Ballesteros is definitely only a pinch hitter in the postseason. Ian Happ's playing way too well right now in left field to put Seiya Suzuki out there with Tucker in right, and Ballesteros is your DH. So then your options would be, if Tucker's in right, is it Suzuki or is it Ballesteros? Well, if this is a sign of things to come from Seiya Suzuki, I'm not sure you're going to want to take him out of your starting lineup in the postseason. So some of these are good problems to have. Some of them are bad problems to have, but it's the lineup is looking much, much better. Jay asks here, when was the last time the Cubs scored 5+ runs 3 games in a row? That's a great question. Tim says before the All-Star break. Honestly, Tim, you might be right, and we might be guessing here, but it has been brutal for the Cubs lineup. So to see them put up this output against the Mets, yes, it's 3 rookies. You're not facing the best of the best pitching in this series. They're all young guys out there trying to get ready for the Mets to make a postseason push. They're trying hard. They take 2 out of 3 from the Cubs here in this series. Like the Mets are giving them giving themselves the chance to control their own destiny. But the lineup itself does look much, much better at this point for the Cubs. All right, we'll take a break here. When we get back, we'll talk about Kyle Tucker, the turning point of today's game. We'll look back at that as well, and plus your questions and comments here in the chat on YouTube. That's all coming up next year on the Locked On Cubs postcast. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rugiet's Go Long comes in. It's not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day and all night and even into the next day. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified 100% doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Rugiet, that's RUGIET.com, and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure you use our code so they know we sent you.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
All right, before we talk about Kyle Tucker, let's get to our turning point of today's game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
A couple instances here where you could look at. I think the first inning, again, that play by Dansby Swanson, while it didn't count, him and Matt Shaw, it was incredible. You see the IQ level of Dansby on that play. And, if it would have counted, if he would have got the ball out of his hands just a little bit quicker, Lindor is out at home, and maybe the Cubs and Shota are able to escape that inning without giving up runs. And who knows where the game goes from there. But I think specifically we have to look at the fourth inning here. 2 men on base. Brett Beatty, the Mets third baseman, comes up, hits a home run. Again, Shota Imanaga has given up a ton of home runs this year, over 30 at this point. A lot of them have been solo shots. This one's not. A 3-run home run to make it a 6-0 game there. It's a real hill to climb when you have to come back from 6 runs. It was 8 runs before Shota Imanaga left the game today to hand it over to the bullpen, which was pretty solid. That's a positive as well. The bullpen was solid. Pomeranz, a good bounce-back performance in this game. So it sounds like Kyle Tucker is coming back tomorrow for the Cubs. Again, I said this yesterday. I will believe it when I see the lineup card that he's actually in it. And Kyle Tucker has a weird history with injuries, not just with the Cubs, also with the Astros as well, where, we've seen Kyle Tucker, the finger injury earlier this year where he was excellent at first after he got hit, and then he unraveled and was awful. Pretty much him and PC ended up being 2 of the worst players in baseball, it felt like, while he was recovering and getting back into the groove of things. So what are you going to get from Kyle Tucker? I mean, the thing with Kyle Tucker is that he is a professional hitter, right? So I feel pretty good about him returning to this lineup without having to do a rehab stint. He has been hitting in the cage this entire time. It's not been a hitting issue, a swinging issue for him. So that's the positive, is that he's coming back. You have the chance to get him back in the lineup. You need him to be good. We don't know what his role is going to be, but I'm not too concerned about, what Tucker is. We'll see, frankly, can he pick up where he left off? That's probably too much to ask at this point, because he was really turning it around from those regular season struggles that Tucker was having. But just having him back tomorrow, once it's official, is going to be a very good thing for the Cubs. So that's the positives from this game is Suzuki's heating up, Happ continues to have good at-bats and hit the ball very well, and Kyle Tucker is returning. Again, my guess is as the DH. Now, you can ask if you want, are the Cubs better with Kyle Tucker and Seiya Suzuki as your DH and right fielder instead of Ballesteros and one of the other guys in right field. I think that is up for debate, but Suzuki is at least showing right now those things that, are good. Some conversation in here about Shota Imanaga being gassed. I don't think it's that he's gassed. I think it's really what they mentioned on the broadcast, and that he can't get his mechanics right. That since he's been trying to work on getting them correct in these starts, that's something that he really relies on is repetition. And honestly, it's something that Japanese pitchers like really pride themselves on is the repetition. Something that Shota has not really had struggles with as a member of the Cubs, and he's just kind of losing it at this point at the worst time of the season. So that's where I don't think it's gas. Specifically, he did miss 7 weeks, I think it was. So I don't think it's an arm soreness thing. Like Matthew Boyd, his struggles that he's had before yesterday's starts, that to me looks more like a wear and tear thing that you're seeing from him. So hopefully for Boyd, the days off between now and a wild card appearance will be good for him. And for Shota, if he is going to be a factor in the wild card series, he does have some time to work on his things, his mechanics that have gotten out of whack a little bit. That's a wait and see. I mean, that's one of those things where it's more in between the ears than it is anything else. And just seeing, what he can do is probably the ultimate question of what he and, Tucker can do is probably the ultimate question of how far the Cubs can actually go in the playoffs, because I think Cade Horton's going to be back and be there for the Cubs in game 1 of the wild card series, which sounds crazy that a rookie is going to start, and it is by far the guy we are the most confident in making that game 1 start in the wild card series. All right, we'll be back tomorrow and all this weekend for the final 3 games of the 2025 regular season for the Cubs. These postcast shows will be right here for you. Then we'll be here after however many playoff games the Cubs playing as well. Sam will have a solo show coming up here on the channel in just a little bit as well. So make sure, as always, you guys check out their daily shows. So thank you guys for watching. Remember, hit that subscribe button here on YouTube, especially if you're new to the channel, or if you've been watching for a while and just haven't done it yet. Make sure you do it. For all of you that listen every day live here on YouTube and everywhere on where you get your podcast, Apple and Spotify, we appreciate you guys so much. I know I do. It's been a blast doing these so far this season. I'm glad we get to do at least a couple postseason postcast shows as well. So we'll talk to you guys tomorrow afternoon after the day game. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your evening.